Hi, my name is Nicholas Reed. I know we didn't have to introduce ourselves, but I feel like it would be a nice thing to do. I'm a sophomore and I'm an aerospace major. To summarize the ideas for this week in my own words, the main focus of this week is like Newton's second law, and how like interactions between the surroundings and the system like can affect an object's position, velocity, and other factors that go along with it. Um, some of the stuff I didn't know that I learned from watching this week's lectures and the readings. I learned how to use pre-existing data from a data set or like an object that we analyzed to predict the velocity and the future position. I thought that was really cool. How you could use that to not only that do it once, but do it in steps to find the predicted step after the additional steps. I learned the original. I learned how these equations come about, like the logic behind these equations. Instead of just being handed the equations, I learned how these equations come together and the logic behind them, so that you can predict the future of these things and then compound them to make more and more predictions. I learned how to use the tracker software to analyze videos for data and then get a data set that you can then plug into a program to do the calculations for you, so you don't have to do it by hand. Thought that was also very cool, and learned how to use that programming to help predict the values instead of having to write it all by hand. And then I also learned how to calculate the forces on a spring using the equations provided. Some of the things I already knew coming into this was how to use like data spreadsheets like Excel, and how to create graphs to show like important information in a more easy to see manner, and that way you can compare data. Uh, I also I had a little bit of light experience with programming, but mainly with robotics rather than equations. So it was also very cool to see it used in a different light. One thing that really sparked my curiosity, which I already hinted on or mentioned, was the predicted values and how you could use those predicted values to predict more values. I thought that was really cool, and that it basically allows you to see directly into the future. And then the computer program using it in a different sense to calculate those values, I thought that was a really neat thing as well. Um, so this relates very heavily into my area of study because I'm an aerospace major. So we got to predict things like planetary movement, which was one of the examples they used in the video to show the step process. And you also got to be able to predict rocket trajectory and the forces on the rocket, which helps a lot. So it's very important to my major, and it definitely relates to my field. The part that confused me the most was probably the spring forces, because it was very different than the rest of the video. I know it was the same concept in general with Newton's second law, but it was like it was a stark difference of the rest, and it took a little bit of reviewing for me to get it down. But I feel like I eventually got a better hang of it. I didn't really follow out this topic with much outside videos, but I did go over and watch some videos on YouTube on how to do some example problems, and that definitely helped me a lot, as well as like watching the video again and again, and then writing it down a few times because they help it drill it into my head so that I wouldn't forget it. Yeah, I felt like that was a good process for at least for me to help get that concept down. Um, And I guess that's it for this video. Uh, and have a good night. And I look forward to the next lecture. All right. Bye.